Now we're going to be looking at 3 rules, okay? Let's see. The 3 rules, let me use this space right here at the side. There's 3 rules that we're going to use. One of them is called side, side, side. The other one we called side, angle, side. And the third rule we're going to be working with, we called it hypotenuse leg, okay? Those are the 3 rules we're going to be working today. Now, I remember last unit, remember when we did the compass and the straight edge and everything, there was one construction that said, given 3 sides, you should be able to create a triangle with those 3 sides. Now, if I had given you if I gave you all the same 3 sides, one interesting thing is that all of you would have created the same triangle. So if I had given you that same 3 sides, all of you come up with the same triangle. And that's what we're going to call side, side, side. Now, when a figure is the same shape and same size, we call that congruent. Because we're talking about triangles, we're going to call this unit triangle congruency. Okay, this part we're going to call triangle congruency. Now, let's say I have a triangle. And then I have another triangle. But one side, well, usually when I say sides are equal, I use slashes. So let's say I said this side of this triangle, it's equal to this side. It's okay if I rotate my triangle, okay? So it doesn't have to be corresponding sides. It is fine for me to rotate, for me to flip and everything, right? I can reflect my figures. And let's say a second side of a triangle, it's equal to this second side here. And my third side of this first triangle is equal to this third side of the other triangle. When 3 sides of one triangle are equal to 3 sides of the other triangle, guess what? Those triangles are congruent. Remember, we saw this shape before, an equal sign with a wiggly thing on top? It meant same shape, same size. Nice. Now notice on each triangle, one side I did 1 slash, the second I did 2 slashes, and then 3 slashes. So I did mark each side individually, but the 3 sides of one triangle are equal to the 3 sides of the other triangle. If that happens, those triangles are congruent, and we call that side, side, side. Cool. Now, let's talk about side, angle, side, the second rule. Okay, so let me draw 2 triangles for side, angle, side. Now, here I see only 2 S's, right? The S represents sides, the A represents angle. So that's why I call this side, angle, side. So I see 2 sides. Let me just say the first one side of one triangle is equal to one side of the other triangle. A second side of one triangle is equal to the second side of the other triangle. Again, it's okay for me to rotate. It's okay for me to reflect. I'm just comparing sides. Now, for side, angle, side, we're going to need 2 sides and the corresponding angle. Interesting. Corresponding angle, or we call it included angle. Now, included angle is basically the corner, the angle where the 2 sides, right? I marked 2 sides where the 2 sides meet. Okay, so there's 2 sides that I marked. One of them I marked it with 1 slash, the other one I marked it with 2 slashes. The included angle is the corner where those 2 sides meet. So it's not just any corner, it's that corner where those 2 sides meet. So on my triangle on the left, I'm talking about this angle. On my triangle on the right, I'm talking about this corner. So for side, angle, side, I'm going to say these 2 sides are congruent. If I have 2 sides of one triangle are equal to the 2 sides of the other triangle and the included angle. So I'm gonna do I'm gonna do the included angle, the angle where the two sides meet. And that is what we call side angle side. Now there is a third rule that we called hypotenuse leg. Okay, so hypotenuse, I've heard that word before. Hypotenuse happen when I have a right triangle. Okay, so for this, I'm gonna say I need to have a right triangle. So let me just do a right triangle. Oh, let me just to change this a little to remember it's okay for me to flip my triangles. They don't have to be exactly looking the same way, but I have two right triangles. I have the hypotenuse. Okay, which was the hypotenuse? Do you guys remember? What's the hypotenuse of a right triangle? The biggest side. Okay, so let me mark this side and the other triangle, let me mark this side. And one leg. Okay, I know what the hypotenuse is. What's the leg? Well, there's two legs. On the right triangle, there are two legs. The legs are the other sides. Okay, so let me just go this side and this side. So I need to have a hypotenuse in the leg. Oh, even though I only use two letters, there should be three markings. The right triangles, right? I'm gonna say this is a two triangles that are congruent. So hypotenuse leg. I need to have a right triangle. I need to have two sides. But notice that my angle is not the included angle. Side angle side, I have two sides as well in the included angle. Now here, my 90-degree angle is not the included angle. Remember what I said included angle was? Included angle is the corner where the two sides meet. Okay, so let's take a look at question number 19. For 19 through 24, I'm asking determine if the two triangles are congruent. If they are, state how do you know? What I'm going to do, I'm just going to say if one of my three rules work. Side, 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 side angle, side, hypotenuse leg. One of them should work. Okay, so I see number 19. Well, I'm not going to say one of them should work, because sometimes neither of the three work. I see question number 19, and I see three sides. I see the left triangle has sides 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna call it 1, 2, 3 because 1 slash, 2 slash, 3 slashes. And I see the other triangle, it has 1, 2, 3 as well. 1 slash, 2 slash, 3 slashes. So the sides, I have three sides marked. So this is gonna be side, side, side. Oops, let me use this right here. So side, side, side. Capital letters, okay? Because it represents side, not lowercase s's, three cases. Just by writing side, 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 I pretty much said that triangles are congruent, and I know they're congruent because of side, side, side. So when it says determine that two triangles are congruent, I just said they are because I wrote the formula. How do I know? Because remember the instructions, it says, if they are, state how you know, side, side, side. So just write side, 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 and you're okay. Now let's take a look at number 20. Couple things I must remember, okay? Before I continue here, couple things I must remember. When there's an X formed, right, I could have two triangles, but when there's an X formed, I'm gonna say opposite angles are equal. Remember vertical angle theorem. So some cases, I'm gonna use the vertical angle theorem. Okay, if they're not marked, I can mark it. And I'm gonna say that is the only way I can mark an angle that is not marked, okay? That's the only way. But is there a way I can mark a side? Yes. Let me show you. Let's say I have this triangle, and let's say I have another triangle here. You see how there's one side that they both use? So if that happens, I can mark that side. Either 1 slash, 2 slashes, 3 slashes, however I need to mark it. So the only way I can mark an angle that is not marked is by the vertical angle theorem. The only way I can mark a side that is not marked is if the same side is used by two triangles. So having that said, looking at number 20, I'm going to mark this side because those two triangles are using it. Okay. So let me take a look at one triangle. I want to take a look at this triangle. You guys might be like, how do I know? How do I know how to use these rules? Okay, interesting. Side was the easy one because all sides are marked. So side was not that bad. When you have sides and angle mark. So look at the markings. Like I said, look at my triangle. I highlighted one triangle in yellow. There's on the markings, I either mark two sides or two angles. So take a look at what I marked. Either two sides or two angles. And then you guys will be, well, two sides. Remember, there's two of something, two sides or two angles. So I'm gonna write two sides. And then I ask you, is the angle the included angle? Okay, so is the angle the corner where the two sides meet? Like, oh, what does that mean? Okay, look at one side. I'm gonna highlight it in red so you can see it. Look at the other side. Do they meet at the corner that I marked? So the angle that I marked, is that angle the included angle? Is that a corner, the corner where the two sides meet? Yeah, yes it is. Okay, in that case, put A. See how the angles in between the sides? Put A in between the S's. So that's what we call side angle side. Quickly take a look at the other triangle. Make sure you mark it the same way. There's two sides and the included angle. Cool. So I'm gonna say this case is side angle side. All right, let's take a look at number 21. To begin with, I'm gonna mark this side with two slashes. Remember, when there's two triangles that use the same side, I can just mark it because the side of one triangle is equal to that side of the other triangle, right? It is the same side. So focus on one triangle. I'm gonna focus on this one. There's two things marked, right? Two sides or two angles. And well, you should see two sides, right? So let me write two S's. And then let me ask you, is the angle the included angle, right? The 90-degree angle, is that angle an included angle, right? Is that angle the corner where they meet? You might be like, let's see, there's this side and this side. Oh, no, that's not the included angle. So don't put the A in between the S's. For this case, let me write A right here. So side angle. Before I continue, let me go back to my three rules that I showed you. Side angle side, hypotenuse leg. Side angle is not one of those three. Side angle does not work. There is one exception. Let me point out, there is one exception when side angle works. Let me focus right there. There is one exception where side angle works. That only exception is when the angle is 90 degrees. That's our case here. There's one case when side angle works, and that case is when that angle is 90 degrees. But then we don't call it side angle. So let me cancel this out. We don't call it side angle. We call it hypotenuse leg. If I have a case where side-side angle exists, or angle side-side, however you guys are calling it, side-side angle, but the angle is not 90 degrees, then it does not work. The only case when it works, the only side-side angle that works is when the angle is 90 degrees, but then we call it hypotenuse leg. All right, quickly take a look at the other triangle. Did we have the same markings? Yeah, we do have side-side angle with the angle being 90 degrees. Cool. So this case, question number 21 is hypotenuse leg. Now, one thing before I continue. You guys might have seen, oh, well, the angle is 90 degrees. So from now on, every time I see a 90-degree angle, I'm going to call it HL. I'll tell you, don't do that. No, 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 no. Don't do that. Let's take a look at number 22. I see 90-degree angle. But from right now, I'm already going to tell you that's not HL. It's not hypotenuse leg. Okay, so to begin with, I'm going to say this other corner here is 90 degrees. Remember, vertical angle theorem. When there's an X formed, opposite angles are equal. And then focus on one triangle. Let me focus on this triangle. And there's two sides or two angles marked. There's two of something. So you guys are going to be like, oh, two sides, right? Two sides. So let me write two S's right now. And then there's an angle marked. In this case, with a 90-degree angle. Let me ask you, is this the included angle? The angle where the two sides meet? So you guys might be, okay, there's one side right here. There's another side here. Yeah, they do meet at the 90-degree corner. So in that case, you A, put it in the center. I write HL when the angle is 90 degrees, but I have side angle. In this case, my answer would be side angle side. So again, just because you see a 90-degree angle, don't think it's HL. Right? HL is a 90-degree angle, but it has to be side angle. All right, quickly take a look at the other triangle. Yeah, it is marked the same way. Cool. So side angle side. Now here, question number 23. Two sides of one triangle are equal to two sides of the other triangle. So for starters, I'm gonna say side, right? Two sides. I know I can mark an angle only if they make an X, vertical angle theorem. That's not the case here. I know I can mark a side only if the same side is used for both triangles. So basically my two triangles are attached to each other. No, it's not the case here. So I only have two markings. I need to have three. My rules were side angle side, or hypotenuse leg. All three cases, I needed three markings. I needed at least three markings. That's not the case here. So I'm gonna say not congruent. Notice I capitalized the N from not, but not the C from congruent. So not congruent. That's it. Like, hey, I need to have three markings. Two markings is not enough. Side is not enough. So not congruent. Now, don't come and tell me, well, Mr. Leonzo, I could mark the third side to make it side. Because honestly, if you had the choice to make any marking that you can, just stick with side and make it easy, right? But you cannot. Don't mark things just to make it work. Okay, let's take a look at number 24. I take a look at one triangle. I see two sides marked. So for right now, let me write two sides. And then I see one angle. And then I ask you, is that the included angle? Okay, let's see. I see this side. I see this side. Yeah, that angle is right where the two sides meet. So because of that triangle, I'm thinking it's side, angle, side. And then I ask you, quickly take a look at the other triangle, make sure that it is marked the same way. You're like, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's not marked the same way. I didn't mark the same angle. I marked them differently. So when that happens, when the two triangles are not marked the same, I'm not gonna say this is side angle side because the other triangle is not side angle side. In this case, I will say these two triangles are not congruent. They have to be marked the same way. I'm working up until 28, so I'm not quite done yet. Let's take a look at number 25. Let me zoom in to number 25. Now here, I have to complete a statement, okay? State what additional information is required in order to know that the triangles are congruent for the reason given. I know I need to have 3 markings per triangle. In this case, questions 25 through 28, I'm gonna give you 2 of the 3 markings. I am gonna ask, which one am I missing? So that's why it says, state what additional information is required in order to know the triangles are congruent for the reason given. So to begin with, looking at number 25, to begin with, I'm gonna mark this side. Remember, when one side is used by both triangles, I can just mark it. If there's 2 angles that make an X, remember vertical angle theorem, I can mark the angle. So for right now, I'm just marking that side. And I see that I need to have side, angle, side. So 2 sides and the included angle. So let me look at one triangle here. I'm looking at this one triangle. What am I missing? I'm supposed to have 2 sides and the included angle. I already have the 2 sides. So what am I missing? Well, the included angle, right? Well, which one is the included angle? It's not just any corner. It's the corner where the 2 sides meet. So you guys will come and say, well, that will have to be this corner. Okay. Remember, back in the days, as in yesterday, remember how I said that when we do angles, we do 2 letters to name a side, I mean? When we look at sides, we need to name it using 2 letters. But when we name angles, we can either use 1 letter or 3 letters. 3 letters always works, 1 letter sometimes. Now, I'm not going to call this angle G because if I said angle G, you might be, which angle G? Is it this angle G? Is it this other angle G? Is it this angle G? Right? If you guys just say angle G, you don't really specify that triangle because I don't know which triangle you're looking at. So in this case, I cannot use just 1 letter because there's multiple corners at G. So in this case, you do have to use 3 letters for that angle. Remember, I'm looking at my triangles highlighted in yellow. My corner is G. So use all 3 letters of that triangle having G in the center. So I'm going to say F, G, H. So my angle FGH is equal to, okay, which angle do you need on the other triangle? If you look at it, is this angle, right? I'm not going to call it angle H. I'm looking at my white triangle. You see how I have a yellow triangle and a white triangle? I'm looking at my white triangle. I'm not going to call it H. I'm going to use 3 letters. So use all 3 letters of the white triangle and leave H in the center. So let me call this angle WHG. That's it. Remember, when I said what additional information is required, that means from the 3 markings you're supposed to have, I already gave you 2. Either directly, like remember how there were 2 sides marked directly, or indirectly. Indirectly means you can mark it. You can mark it already. So I gave you 2 markings. What I'm asking is, which marking am I missing? That's what I mean. So let's take a look at question number 26. To begin with, I'm gonna say I can mark this side because both triangles share it. And then I look at one triangle. Let's take a look at this triangle. It doesn't matter which of the 2 triangles you look at first. I see I need to have side, 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 and I'm looking at that triangle. So I need to have all 3 sides marked. Which one am I missing? I know for sides, I'm gonna use 2 letters. So I'm gonna call it side GM because it's this side, right? For sides, I use 2 letters. So GM or MG, however you want, equals. What side are you missing from the white triangle? Well, you're like, well, I'm either it's this other side, Mr. Leonzo. Well, when you connect the sides, I'm using the letters M and L. So you can either call it ML or LM, however you want. That's it. That was the marking that I was missing. Good. Let's take a look at number 27. HL. To begin with, I'm gonna say this angle right here is 90 degrees because those 2 angles combined make a line, right? A line, a linear angle. The angle of a line is 180. One of them is 90. Well, obviously the other one is 90. And then I can mark this side as well because the 2 triangles are using that side. And let me take a look. Which triangle should I be looking at? Let's choose this one. Again, I just need one triangle. I'm looking at one triangle. It doesn't matter which one you look at first. Okay, HL. I need the hypotenuse and the leg. I do have the leg already. I need the hypotenuse. You're like, oh, if it was on paper, you can say this one, Mr. Leonzo. But how are you gonna do that typing it, right? For a side, this one I'm gonna call it side YX is equal to, now on the Y triangle, you would need this side. So let me call it side SY. Lastly, let's take a look at number 28. To begin with, I can mark this side because both triangles are sharing it. Let me take a look at one triangle. And let me take a look at the rule side, angle, side. So I need 2 sides and the angle in between, the included angle. I have 2 sides already, Mr. Leonzo. Okay. I see one side marked and I see here's one side and here's the other side. Okay, good. So you do have the 2 sides that you need. So you need to mark the included angle. Well, it's this one. Now, am I gonna use one letter only? Remember, for angles, I use 1 or 3 letters. If I just said angle X, do you know for sure which angle X am I looking at? No. Okay. So using the yellow triangle, I'm gonna use the 3 letters, make sure X is in the centered. So I'm gonna call this WXY. Now, if you call it YXW, you're okay. Just make sure X is in the center. This is equal to, now which angle on the other triangle? You'd be like, well, it's this one. Okay. So looking at the white triangle, use the 3 letters, make sure X is in the center. So I'm gonna call it YXE, all capital letters. Let me zoom out on this last part. This is actually the one that's gonna be interesting. The one's gonna give you hard time. Every time you need to mention a side, we label sides with 2 letters. Every time you need to mention an angle, you can use 1 letter or 3 letters. 3 letters always works. Sometimes you can get away with one letter. Might be like, when, Mr. Leonzo? Take a look at this one. If I said angle W, do you know exactly which one's corner W? Yeah, because there's only one corner at W. Now, if I said corner angle G, yeah, that one you don't know. So that's why I say sometimes we can use one letter. Sometimes we have to use all three letters. But three letters always works. If you don't want to be risking it, use three letters all the time for angles.